There's one thing you need to know about me, which is that I am an idiot. Because I've decided I want to make a custom doll for ArtFight. If you don't know what ArtFight is, it's an art trading thing where you attack people by making them an artwork. And I've decided I want to make a custom doll because that's cool. Issue is I've never made a custom doll before. I've tried and failed, as you can see here. And so today I'm going to try and hopefully succeed. This is a character I've picked out. He has wings, which is, I guess, harder than no wings. And I guess since his head is already off his body, we're just gonna clean him. I have no acetone, but I have nail polish remover. That wasn't half as satisfying as it is when Delightful does it. Luckily, he doesn't need to be clean, because I'm going to spray paint him white. I'm just hoping that that's going to work. I know it will rub off around the joints, but I'm hopeful that will stay for a bit. And we're going to give him the best chance, because I will sand him down in a second. I'm going for 400 grit just because that feels right. I feel like he is sufficiently sanded now. I will take him and his head for a bubble bath, but you can't come. That's a private moment between him and I. And then we'll see each other spray painting. He's white now. Isn't that fun? I also sprayed his head. I'm not sure what to do now. I feel like the paint is already scraping off. I gave him a good spray down with Mr. Super Clear. And I really want to blush his body because the character isn't white. The character is... I don't know what the character is. I haven't fully understood the character design. Understood, that's a word. English is hard, damn it. I'm not sure if that does anything. Don't understand because usually Mr. Super Clear is so good at this. I thought it would just stick immediately and last forever. But like damn, it's not really doing anything. Ah gosh, doll makers make this look so easy. Oh, I just put on some body blush. It's immediately visible. On this man, nothing is visible. Let's just go for a red and see if that makes a difference, because maybe it's just an issue with the blues. It is! It's an issue with the blues. Okay, damn it. So the blues just don't hold up for whatever reason. No, we're gonna use this blue because it's seemingly the only blue that actually shows up, so... So I body blushed him and I feel like he's getting better. Like, he doesn't look that blue anymore because all the parts that are super blue are also where the blush is. He has a few issue areas, but I think he's okay. I'm gonna spray him down again and then I would love to paint the face, but that needs to dry.
Flashback.
Yes, he also has like elf ears, which is an issue because we have normal ears. Should have probably done that before. Let's do some ears. We're gonna go at it with epoxy sculpt because that's what I have. And I think we only need a tiny amount, which is so nice about doll making. You need like barely any material.
End of flashback.
At this point in the process, I stopped talking to the camera and just vibed. So here's voiceover me, are you excited? I started by blushing the face with the same blue color combination that I found worked pretty well. I tried to be fancy and contour his jaw so that it looked slightly less square because the reference image has such a slim face and the doll I had has such a blocky jaw. But I'm not sure if that worked. I tried, I guess. I did my best, okay? Don't at me, I did my best. I don't think I ever explained why I decided to add so much purple and red undertones to his body. I just felt like his body was too cold and too blue, and for some reason adding the purple made everything look less blue. And so I added the same shades of pink and purple to his face, especially of course to his cheeks and to his little nose and to his chin, so that he's a cutie patootie. I then took out my colored pencils and started on the face. I feel like the two faces that are on the reference image aren't the same man. He has very different eye shapes in these two images and very different eyebrow shapes, and you could say that's because of facial expression, but I feel like that's not quite it. Anyways, I decided to go for the eye shape and facial expression that's a bit more outwardly and a bit more squiggly because I thought that one is funnier. I don't know anything about the character. He could have a tragic backstory and a tense personality, but in my mind he's a very fun dude. Because I decided he's gotta be that way. Like, I will send this video to the person who owns the character, and maybe they will comment and tell me how wrong I am in my assumptions about the dude, who knows. And for the eyes, I overdrew his eye mold a bit. Not too much because I felt like I couldn't do it too much. I kept the lower part of the eye the same, but I overdrew it a bit on the top to give him this more kind of downturned look that I think is very adorable whenever I see it. I believe at this point I went in with another layer of Mr. Super Clear, and I even filmed it for you once. I went in with a lot of layers of Mr. Super Clear, I only filmed it once. And then I moved on with the face. It was just, I don't know, a lot of building up, I guess, and hoping that would work. You might be wondering, if you're a smart one, why someone who's never made a custom Monster High doll has all of the materials and tools needed to make one of those things. And the truth is, I've been making stuff for a really, really long time. And so a lot of these things have just collected. The colored pencils you see me use are pencils I've had since I was a teenager and drew anime girls, and no, I'm not going to show you those anime girls. These soft pastels I originally bought for Geek Fursuit heads. Mr. Super Clear I own because I made a nifty marionette a while back, you know, from Hazbin Hotel. And so by every definition of the word, I would consider myself a maker. I make props, puppets, costumes, fursuits, and I feel like most makers, we're aware of what we can do, right? To some extent, but we never think of ourselves as superior or better or cooler. There's always the other ones, the cool ones. I look at people like Delightful, Moonlight Jewel, Enchantarium, Randy Repaints, and for me, those are the cool ones. And I feel like I'm very far away from that. I've always been intimidated by doll making and custom dolls and the one-of-a-kind community in a way, just because I think they're so cool and I've put them on such a big gilded pedestal that I thought it was very, very scary to approach. I've been wanting to make a custom Monster High doll for ages. I've bought the doll I'm using in this video 5 years ago. That's crazy. And since then it's been on the back of my mind, but I just was always afraid to approach it. Which in hindsight, after finishing this project, is so silly. Because as a maker who's made a plethora of things that were considerably more complicated than this, I have the skills to make this and just never dare to approach. I don't know where I'm going with this. I guess I'm trying to teach you the moral that you just have to go for it. So yeah, no fear is the way to go. Maybe I should print that on a t-shirt or something. And I think I rambled more than enough. So let's get back to the video. I don't want to bore you or anything. And then I started really going in on the eyes and the pupils. He has these grayish pupils and I was very confused for a while because I didn't know what to do with them. And then I got my hands on my metallic silver because I wanted to draw his piercings because I didn't want to sculpt those. I'm lazy, okay, I just drew them on. And then I realized, oh wait, maybe his pupils aren't this grayish turquoise color. Maybe they're supposed to be silver because he's fey. And so I painted that over my base of turquoise, and because the silver is ever so slightly translucent, I think it turned out pretty cool. I liked it a lot, and that is the eye look I went with in the end. And then I put on another layer of Mr. Super Clear, obviously, and then I put on a gloss varnish on his eyes, and I believe also on his lips. It's been too long and I could check it, but I'm a lazy ass, so it's fine. And with that, his face was pretty much done.
So we can move on to clothes, which is going to be exciting. I hope. The thing is, his pants are really, really hard to see in the reference image because he's sitting kind of cross-legged. And I'm not sure what to do with that information. So what we're going to do is guess. I want to do something with a with a lower crotch. I think we're just gonna make a test run of this pattern. Now his pants are this like dark grey purpley color. I don't think I have like a dark grey purpley color in my stash, but I do have a grey. So I think I'm going to go for the grey. I'm going to sew this off camera because it's just a test piece. And then we can see if it looks good. And then I will get back at you. Instead of making a prototype, I just made the pants. This is what they look like. I try to keep them not too specific. Like, this is a DnD character, but I didn't want it to be like classical high fantasy. And I think it's pretty cute. I mean, it would be cuter if he had a head. You don't want to know how long it took me to find this piece of purple cotton. It just had hidden away in the back end of my fabric closet. We're gonna do his neck piece next, I guess. Should I draft out a pattern? If it scrunches up, it could technically even be like that long, and then we see. We can always make it smaller, we can never make it bigger. There we go. Gosh, pattern making is so easy. That's a big one, but I want it to be big because I'm hoping that it will hide his shoulder joints a bit, because those are having issues. Let's do a test fit. I feel like that's cute if we can get that to lay nicely.
12 seconds later.
So I got distracted and then I made some wings. I laid the doll on a piece of paper, I drew out the shape and size of wings I wanted, and then I scanned that in to bring it into the digital world. I was thinking if it would be okay to trace the wing in the reference image, and then I realized if this was a commission, I would trace that wing, no questions asked, because it's supposed to be as accurate as possible. And so I did. I did make a few changes, notably the lower tip there is a bit thicker because I didn't want it to be too fragile. Also, I kind of realized that the doll I was making was like a slightly more saturated version of the reference, so I decided to make the wings a bit more saturated as well, so that everything would fit together. Now, if you're wondering how I brought that into reality from the screen, I have a sublimation printer. So I just printed it out onto sublimation paper, I threw it into the heat press along with some polyester fabric, and then I had this. Now the fabric is too flimsy and I thought about doing something very complicated. I'd seen people use like tiny hinges and wires, and then I realized, nah, I don't want to do that. So I took some more of my purple fabric and I hardened it using PVA glue. And once it had the solidity I wanted, I glued on my sublimated wings. For this, I used this stuff. It's a bit like sheets of hot glue. I don't know the English name of it. I know the name in my native language translates literally to witch's spit, which is also not the official name. It's just the name I learned from my mom when I was like 4. So I glued it on with witch's spit, I guess. I cut it out and I sealed the edges with some more PVA glue because I didn't want anything to fray. Then I sewed the two wings together, and because I thought it was all a bit boring and two-dimensional, I took some black and I shaded in the back and it looked way better immediately. Then I decided to glue them on using contact cement. For this I needed to roughen up the back of the doll, so I just went wild. I was having so much fun, guys. Like, I made this beautiful back and I just scratched it and poked it, and I was having a blast. It was joyous. And then I just kind of stuck it on, and then the wings were on. I don't know how well they will hold up over time. Like, what will this doll look like in 2 or 3 or 20 years? No idea. But for now, this worked really well, and because of the curvature of the back, the wings want to stay open, but of course they can be moved to be closed. And with that done, I moved on to the hair, which was my personal nemesis and the thing I hated the most. For this, I decided to go for faux fur because I had faux fur in the 2 correct colors. I think in the reference image he has 3 colors. And if this was a commission and I was paid to do this, then I would have purchased a 3rd color. And I probably also would have purchased doll hair instead of using faux fur, though I think the fur has a better texture for his kind of hairstyle, in my opinion. I think it works generally, and because his hair is so short, it kind of also works. And I just glued that on using PVA glue. Honestly, I don't want to show too much of it because I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't that fun, and I also don't think I did that well. I tried my damn hardest to make the hair look like the one in the reference image, and I just didn't. Let's be clear here, let's be fair with me. I just didn't. It didn't work. It does not look even remotely like the reference image. He has this very fun, like textured, fluffy hair, and I just made him look like an eel. So yeah, you can like throw tomatoes now or something. I deserve it. But the person who owns the character told me she's really happy with the hairstyle, so it's fine. And with that, the doll was finally done. I put on his head at some point. I put on his scarf. I glued it down with 2 tiny dots of PVA glue. I did a last minute change on the pants, let me know if you noticed. And then I took him out into the garden and took some pictures. And that was that. It was a really fun project. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you so much for watching and following me on this honestly very special journey of making my first art doll. If you'd like to see me make more stuff, please subscribe and I don't know, maybe leave a comment if you have anything to say, or even if you have nothing to say, just like drop me like 5 heart emojis or 6 if you enjoyed it especially much.